Hello everyone, welcome to the podcast. We have got a bit of an exciting guest today. Our last guest was Leon Howard, one of our biggest franchise directors, and this one is a little bit bigger, a little bit of a more well-known guest actually. Something that I'm a little bit nervous about actually, excited, nervous as well. I was having a chat outside about my first ever football session. I was waiting for parents to turn up, and I was running back and forth to the car park, scared because I felt no one was going to turn up and pay. Yeah. And I said the feeling's exactly the same today. It's weird how the feeling carries on. So we've got Daniel Priestley today. Daniel is a serial entrepreneur, an author, best-selling author, and someone who is a public speaker, been on plenty of podcasts, and is absolutely smashing it. So Daniel, thank you.
Right, pleasure. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
For joining, and appreciate you coming with a bad wrist as well.
My first one for 2026. Yeah, my poor wrist. I was trying to impress my daughter and had the opposite effect. I stood on a skateboard and ended up in hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually feel like I've got a bit of nervousness today as well, because my daughter's starting preschool today, first day. Wow. My dad rang me earlier and I was like panicked, and he couldn't actually find the entrance to the preschool. So
it will blow your mind how quickly you go from preschool to year 6.
Yeah.
My goodness. I remember dropping my oldest is in year 6 at the moment, and it was like super vivid.
Yeah.
Preschool to year 6, boom.
Yeah, absolutely. On that, Daniel, is something that I challenge myself daily, because I want to be super successful, and like you've been one of the biggest inspirations of my life. Knowing Angelo, you talk about having like mentors, and you was like a mentor for me growing up. But I put myself under this pressure to be successful. But my number one goal is to be a good dad. And it's like balancing that. Do you find that a tough balance, or?
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a tricky balance, and it goes in and out of balance. Obviously, if you think about balance, often balance is not standing still. It's kind of like, oh, I'm too far this way, I'm too far that way, and it's balance is the ability to feel it, to recognize, hey, I've been traveling too much, or I've been, there's been too many evenings where I've been, sitting on the laptop or whatever. So, don't punish yourself. It's like, okay, that is part of balance. Yeah. Balance is recognizing that you need to come back the other way a little bit. And I don't think it's a fixed state. Yeah. You kind of don't ever achieve balance. You maintain balance. Yeah. Manage balance. Also, it's just unfortunately it's just a reality of being an entrepreneur, that there's going to be certain little chapters where you have to, you got to grab that tiger by the tail and do it. A few of my non-negotiables, I really like to prioritize every single day spending a little bit of one-to-one time with each of my kids. Dropping off at school is super important, and hearing about their day at the end of the day, and putting them to bed, that sort of stuff. Those kind of moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, when you talk about balance, it's something you're really big on, isn't it? I keep talking for you, but is business ownership gives you those choices, doesn't it? To go, well, it's important to me to want to take my children to school or put them to bed or whatever it may be, so you can build a business around wanting to spend the time doing that.
That's the thing about the times that we're living in. The times we're living in is, there's never been more flexibility, because we all get paid now not based on turning up and putting in time. We get paid based on results. And in fact, if anything, hard work can be your biggest enemy, because you can't outwork digital assets. Yeah. So let's say you create one video that gets 100,000 views. There's no way you can go meet 100,000 people through hard work. Yeah. So we live in a time where those who are naturally hard workers might be doing themselves more damage than someone who's naturally lazy. Because if you're naturally lazy, you think, oh, what's the easiest way to do this? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned about one video giving us 100,000 views. Hopefully this one does, because we've not quite got there yet.
It can happen. I've had some surprising videos where I've put out a video and 30, 40, 50,000 people watch it. Yeah. And 100 grand worth of business gets done off the back of it. So it really is, and you never know where one thing leads to the next thing. Yeah. Absolutely. So I used to put out lots of little videos, and a few hundred people watched them, and one of the people who watched it was a guy called Ali Abdaal. Ali Abdaal then read my book, and then he invited me on his podcast, and that got 3 million views, and then he invited me back, and that got 2 million views, and then Stephen Bartlett saw that, and I'm now the most repeated guest on Stephen Bartlett, and it's like it all came down to putting out a few little videos that one thing kind of led to the next. So, but I'm not saying videos are the only things to do, but it's hard work is just not a strategy now. It has to be, if you're working hard, it has to be working hard to make sure you're doing the right things.
Yeah. And where would you say you fall in that? Which category would you say you personally fall within? Would you say you're more leaning towards that hard working side of things, or the you called it the lazy side, so to speak?
So for me personally, we've hit a point now where work hard, but really disciplined about what we work hard on. So like for me, it's all about these digital assets. So we want to work hard to, have a really powerful social media campaign, and we want to work hard to have really good landing pages and websites, and want to work hard to develop intellectual property that can scale, and work hard to build a culture that can resist and survive, being remote. So it's like we're working hard to make sure, what I mean is there's no point doing things in the old way of doing things. Like, when I started out my career, like I was a door-to-door salesman, and, it takes you a full day to knock on 100 doors. Today, you would say there's just easier, better ways to achieve that result. You still have to put in the effort, but you can get a bigger response.
How important is that, though? So, because I watched a few podcasts with yourself and speaking about early days working at McDonald's, Pizza Hut and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked in the call centre, and I actually done a season on on an island in Spain as a teenager. I'll leave it there. But I look at what I've done today and my successes, and hopefully I'm not nowhere even close to where I want to be yet. But I wouldn't be here without picking up phones second after second as an 18-year-old in a call centre and learning those skills. So obviously we want to jump to that point, but as a 17, a lot of our franchises who are in the industry are young people coming in at 19, 20. And how important are those early skills, going out and learning those skills?
Massively, look, today I run a group of companies. We have 4 software companies and a group of agencies, and, tens of millions of revenue and all those kind of things. But for me, the buzz for me around business started when I was 14 in the kitchen at McDonald's, and discovering that as a 14, 15-year-old, I had the power to run a kitchen. And that, we used to do thousands of dollars worth of sales per hour, and I used to keep track of that and go, wow, we've just had a new best record for most burgers in an hour. And I used to get the movie times and know what time movies were finishing, so we could be prepared for the people coming out of the movies and get them, all the things they want. And then I was a pizza delivery driver, and I used to love seeing if I could get tips, and whether there were jokes that would help get tips. So I would tell people a joke and say I'd say I ran every red light to make sure I got this here for you, and that joke would get like double the tips just by making that silly little joke. But I measured it. I tracked that. And I was in a call center, and look, I've climbed through roofs and installed roof insulation and pest control and all sorts of stuff. And I love all of that. And I think it's a really important part. People who grow up in a life where it's just all handed to them or too easy, it just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. Because here's the reason it doesn't work. Success, when you think of what success is actually going to be like, it's nothing like what you think it's going to be like. The first wave of success is exciting. The second wave is really hard, really hard. So when success shows up, let's say you go from $1 million to 10 million. That happened when I was in my early 20s. Started a business, we're doing $1 million a year, and then we really got things going, and 10 million. That year almost broke me. That was just a crushing, even as a 24-year-old, I almost burnt myself out. Cost me relationships. It was incredibly difficult. And, and all sorts of stuff comes out of the woodwork. And if you're not conditioned for it, you just sit there and go, why am I doing this to myself? You eventually have a breakthrough, and it becomes good, and you get used to it, and you get acclimatized to it. But my goodness, it doesn't show up nicely. Like a really big fast growth success year. It doesn't feel good. It feels like it stretches you to your limits.
Well, in our experience, I remember
Yeah.
starting the business, and we work with primary schools, day nurseries, delivering sports sessions. We're really passionate about getting children active.
Nice.
And I remember the first few times we'd win nurseries and schools, and
That's right.
we'd like celebrate, and it felt brilliant and amazing. And then we had this goal of like getting to £1 million turnover, and then it happened, and we didn't even notice, did we? We literally were like, did we do it last few months?
Yeah.
Have
And we were
done-
like, okay,
Yeah,
right,
and it
now,
just-
now what's next? You know,
Yeah.
and it's never ending.
Yeah.
and then just and barely celebrated, did we?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
no, absolutely. I think it's them early successes definitely feel so amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned like wanting to run or being so excited to run a McDonald's 14. What made you feel like that? Was it did McDonald's make it? Was it something they done as a business that made you feel like that, or is that Daniel Priestley? Is that you that is that ingrained in you?
If we want to play armchair psychologist, I grew up in a beachside town where every single cool kid was essentially cool because they were really sporty, and especially surfing and all of those things. I was okay at sport, but I was not great at sport, and I was never like the most sporty person. So I felt very insecure that I didn't have something that made me special or cool.
Yeah.
And then when I was 13, I discovered, so there was a friend's business who was called Plaster Magic, and basically you could go into a shopping centre mall, and they would have this little area for kids to paint plaster, and they needed help. And I did 2 weeks working for Plaster Magic, and I earned a couple of $100, and I was able to buy a pair of Oakley sunglasses, and I was able to buy some Rip Curl clothes and all this sort of stuff. I remember just this was so great, like to be able to buy cool stuff and to feel cool. And I linked up in my head, oh, my thing is work. Like I'm gonna be a worker, and I'm gonna be in business, and I'm gonna earn money, and that's gonna be my thing. Because there was this guy called Zane who was a pro surfer at 14, 15. All the girls just loved Zane. And I just thought, he's won that. Like he's tall, he's handsome, he's a pro surfer. There is no competition with Zane. So it was kind of like me just trying to figure out, where do I fit in this world?
Yeah. Amazing. And it's that ingrained nature of like finding your way. You're really similar to that. We run sports coach, because I was quite sporty in school. I thought I was quite good at football and stuff like that. Whereas for yourself, it was
business.
Writing the business plan at 12 years old about your cinema.
I wanted to set up a cinema in our half of my family from Italy, a small little village, and I thought there's nothing for the kids to do there, so we should set up a cinema. And I thought, great.
It's a great idea at 12.
I wrote a business plan.
Did you come up with a name?
I drew some different logos. I don't think I ever finalised the name.
Yeah.
It was something like ABC Cinema was that's my initials.
Nice.
And I remember drawing on the book how many seats we would need in the cinema to generate the income I wanted to generate.
Isn't it funny how like kids love maths if money's involved?
Yeah. I certainly did. Yeah. I certainly did. And then I remember crossing it out and saying, no, that's wrong, because it's just not enough seats.
Yeah.
It's not enough revenue. I was working out how I'm going to fund it and things like that.
Those early experiences, they're so formative. I got in trouble as a kid in school, and I had to clean out this supplies cabinet. And in the supplies cabinet, there was this magazine, which was essentially the Forbes 400, but in Australia it's called the BRW 200, right? So it's the Business Review Weekly 200 richest people. And I remember finding this magazine of the 200 richest people in Australia, and it tells you exactly how they made their money. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I just read through every single story. I probably, at that year, I could have probably told you every single, I read every single story. And I remember having a journal and like coming up with ideas and going, oh, this would be a really cool idea. And having dozens of ideas. Yeah.
One day I might go and do that.
You might have to.
Might have to. It'd be brilliant. and so, what do you think that the young people of today should be focusing on if they have, for us, we are a franchise business. So we're all about mentoring, people who want to be entrepreneurs, but maybe not fully fledged entrepreneurs.
You kind of have to be entrepreneurial these days because the school system is designed around the model of getting a job and having a career for life. And about 30 years ago, there were still careers, and a career was kind of like you could start at one company and end up going all the way through that company. And people like did that. Like my grandfather did that. He was with one company for his entire career, like from age 20 to 60. He was with one company, started on the factory floor and ended up general manager, and managed a team of 140 people. But what's interesting is that particular company, that division had 140 people. It now has 12, and they do more output now than they used to do. With 12 people managing automated machines, they do more output than they did with 140 people. So then we went into multiple careers or serial careers where you, like, if you take my mum, she was a journalist, and then she was in politics, and then she got into psychology. So she kind of like had plural careers. My dad did the same. And then you have a look at what's going on now. That's serial careers. What's going on now is actually what's called plural careers, which doing multiple things at one time. So with AI, you could have a podcast and a franchise, and you could run an annual retreat and festival, and you could have a Sicilian cinema that's running,
Naples.
So you can have plural things. The issue with school is it teaches you all the stuff that's wrong for the times that we're in. I hate to say it, or it's a horrible thing to say, because I love, like, teachers, they put a lot of effort in, and schools put a lot of effort in, but the curriculum is not designed for the world that we're in. It teaches you that you're going to face everything on your own. That's not true. You're going to face everything in teams, right? And you got to be good at forming teams. If you're not good at maths homework, ask AI or ask someone who is good at maths homework. It tells you to do that. It tells you don't be a disruptor, don't be an attention seeker. Well, actually, you need to be a disruptor. You need to be an attention seeker. It tells you focus on one thing until you finish. It's like, actually, you don't have to do that anymore.
As a parent, and as if you're as a parent, you've got children. So obviously, you want them to learn those skills as well, and to understand that in regards to like the new world as such, and not become like conformed by school. But then also, if you're speaking to like a 17, 18, 19-year-old person who is getting involved in business, how can we avoid falling into that trick of...
So I'm always a believer that you start out as an apprentice. So what you need to do if you're 17, 18, 19, and what I did from 19 to 21 is an apprenticeship. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a job at a small business with the founder entrepreneur as your direct report. You directly report to the entrepreneur. That normally means you're joining a team of less than 12 people. Once a business hits 12 people, they typically bring in a general manager, and you won't report to the entrepreneur, you'll report to the general manager. So one of the best things you can do as a young person is like just find a small business and go work for a small business. And it could be a little landscaping business, could be a hairdressing business, right? But just find a small business and work for a small business. I got super lucky. Right. So when I was 19, I went and worked for a brand new agency that was launching, and very, very driven entrepreneur, very smart entrepreneur. And we went from 0 to 60 employees in 2 years. We went from 0 to almost 10 million of revenue in 2 years. So I had the personal hands-on experience of startup through to millions. And then it was no real surprise that when I was 21, I launched a business, copied what I'd learned, made $1 million in the first year, made 10 million in year 3. So it was, it was just me copying what I'd learned from my apprenticeship. So a lot of people want to skip the apprenticeship. It's like, I just want to get out there and start. Like if I was advising a young person who wanted to do a cinema business, it's like, let's see if we can find something that is audiovisual, something that is a supplier to the cinema, something that maybe is an independent little cinema. But it's like, can we get you some hands-on apprenticeship experience where you're seeing behind the scenes as to what it takes to launch, scale, exit those kind of businesses?
Because you mentioned you got lucky, and we were speaking about this earlier around, is it lucky, or have you just increased your very small odds of being successful? So like our odds are, say, 1 in a million, but by actually getting, like, I had an option today, I woke up and what time did we meet? About 5:30 in the morning. We was like, let's prepare for Daniel Priestley. We're both so nervous. And it's like, but then we've got an option, haven't we? I could sit at home and be comfortable, but then my odds stay at 1 in a million. But hopefully meeting you today and getting some more eyes, maybe our odds go to 10. But
that's what you're describing is exactly how the world works, which is there's luck and then there's the odds. So yes, everything involves luck, but you are in control of odds. So for example, you can do everything right and be unlucky. Right? Because maybe the odds are 1 in 2. And you can flip tails when it should have been heads. You bet everything on heads and you still flip tails. That's unlucky.
Yeah.
But then you could roll a dice, and that's 1 in 6 odds. Or you could, play lottery, 1 in 35 million odds.
Yeah.
So everything does involve luck, but the entrepreneur or your behavior is changing the odds. Who you hang around with changes the odds. The locations you show up in changes the odds. There's more luck in London than outside of London. There's more luck in Dubai than in London. So you have to choose, where do I want to spend my time? Who do I want to spend my time with? There's more luck when you've got more understanding. So if you study something and really understand how it works, you then notice the trends earlier, and then you become luckier earlier. Yeah. If you take some initiative, then you're improving the odds. So the reason I got lucky was when I was at university. I only did 1 year of university and then dropped out. But when I was at university, I noticed that we loved going to nightclubs, and that 17-year-olds couldn't go to nightclubs. And they kept asking, what's it like to go to a nightclub? Like, how does it work, and what's it like, and all that kind of stuff. So I said, I wonder if I could do a nightclub night for under 18s, where we asked the nightclub on a night that they're normally closed during the school holidays to open up as a 15, 16, 17-year-old night. Sponsored by the council, sponsored by McDonald's, alcohol-free, obviously. Mm-hmm. So I put on these nightclub parties, and we made a lot of money. Like, I was on, when I was a pizza delivery driver, I was on $3 a delivery, which is about £1 per delivery. And then in the first nightclub party night, we had, I think, 1,000 people at $5 a head. So we made $5,000 in the night. And then we went and did 1,000 at $10 a head, and 10 grand in a night. And we had sponsors covering most of the costs. So I was making 10 grand. And I think I put 6 parties on that first year. Then I dropped out. And when I met with John, this guy who was starting a company, I'm a 19-year-old idiot, who doesn't know his ass from his elbow. But John says, tell me a bit about you. And I start telling him about the nightclub parties. And he goes, oh, well, who helped you with that? And I just figured it out. Yeah. And he's like, oh, well, that's great. You're the type of person who can figure stuff out, and you're going to work to do it, and you're going to get outside of your comfort zone and hand out flyers in the streets and all that sort of stuff. And so he recognized. So when I worked for John, I was on sales commission, but I worked really hard, and I started making $12,000 a month as my sales commission, which for a 19, 20-year-old was pretty damn great at the time. This is 20 plus years ago. So I dropped out of university, and now I'm making more money, than any of my lecturers ever had made. And then, but if you kind of track it, it was taking a little risk, trying to do something, having a story, showing up at John's house, the other thing too is, I asked around and said, hey, I want to join a startup. Does anyone know a startup that is being started by a founder? I want to have an experience of working for a startup founder. So I just asked everyone I knew, does anyone know a startup that I could join? Yeah. So that was lucky that someone said yes, but I also was the one who put the feelers out.
Yeah. So you're increasing your odds. Yeah.
I'm increasing my odds.
So for young people, there is no we're not going to pick up a book that says this is how to be a multimillionaire, but ultimately it's what are the key habits that can increase your odds. It's totally possible that I could have asked around and nobody said, we don't know any startups. Okay. Yeah. It's totally possible that I could have run my nightclub party and no one cared about the story of it, right? All of those things, I could have fallen flat on my face. Yeah. By the way, I've also had plenty of bad luck. Like the last year that I had was a mixture of extreme good luck, going on Diary of a CEO 5 times, tens of millions of dollars coming in, like extremely good luck. A long list of good luck, and bad luck. Someone in my family had a stroke, and then that's partially something that has occupied a lot of my time and thoughts. I slipped on a skateboard and broke my wrist. I had one of my employees steal money out of the company. Plenty of stuff has been bad luck as well. Throughout my career, I've had lots of good luck and bad luck, but I try and cut things short
when it's bad luck, and then go in heavy when it's good luck.
I really like the framing of rather than focusing on luck, but linking it to odds. Like because we spoke about it so many times where it's like we're desperate to be successful. We work so hard, and we've been on a journey where I look back 5 years and think, wow, I was so far off then, and I'm going to look back in 5 years again and go, wow, I was so far off now. But framing it to odds makes it feel a bit more less like demanding.
Yeah,
like, I've got to keep going, but when it's now affecting my odds, it makes me want to do it more.
Yeah,
so I think the framing really helps there. You mentioned, like, obviously, was it John, the first mentor? So you mentioned John. Does mentorship ever end for you? Because obviously, I know you've.
No, I'm surrounded by amazing mentors now.
Yeah.
I just hosted a dinner with Sir Richard Harpin, and he's a billionaire, and he have little bits of chats with him, and I really believe. And also having multiple mentors. I've got a young guy who's mentoring me around my YouTube channel at the moment. Yeah. He's much younger than I am, but he knows a lot about YouTube channels. So he's my mentor for YouTube.
Yeah. No, brilliant. And kind of just like weaving it into a little bit, because I know you spent a bit of time with Richard Branson, or Sir Richard Branson. You're like a super fan. So.
Well, I am a super fan. Bill and I were talking about it earlier because I remember not getting on very well at school, being dyslexic.
Yeah.
And my mum always used Richard Branson as
an example.
And say, look, don't worry, if your teachers are telling you can't do X, Y, and Z, look at Richard Branson, Jamie Oliver.
He's also a massive introvert. Like he's dyslexic. He's very introverted. He's an amazing guy. Like, it was incredible spending 7 days with him. I also, like yourself, I've been a massive fan for 20 plus years of Branson. I read his first biography in 1999, I think it was. Seeing him walk down the boat ramp and greet us when we arrived at Necker, and it's like, wow, there he is, right? There's the big man. And then just sitting around having lunch with him, having breakfast and dinners with him, and also meeting his wife shortly before she passed, and spending some time with her, and just seeing how he, his passion for health and fitness, and his passion for adventure and risk taking, and it was really cool to get a sense of what he's like.
I absolutely love him because me and my wife and my daughter go to Virgin Active literally 4 or 5 times a week, and like the family experience we had are like the best. And I'm so obsessed with, not in like a pushy parent way, but I want my daughter to be active. Yeah. And I'm like, if she can come and watch us, like I've done press ups on the gym floor the other day, she's on my back and having fun with, like, just enjoying it. And if I can build that association between like fun, that's my goal for being a dad. But do you find, like, talking about like increasing the odds, is being physically active yourself, being fit, being like in good health mentally, physically, do you feel that increases your odds of being successful daily as well?
The experience is that when you lose your health, that there's a great saying which is a healthy person has many goals and a sick person has one. Yeah. Right, to regain their health. Branson was going for a walk with us, and there was a guy who's 27, 28 who said to him something along the lines of, you've got an island, you've got a spaceship, you've got trains, it must be pretty good. And he said, how old are you? And he said, I'm 28. And he said, I'd trade it all in to be 28. Yeah. He said, you look at me and think I'm rich. I look at you and think you're rich. It's that perspective, isn't it? Which is Branson, by the way, is insanely fit. Like he's 76. He plays 3 rounds of tennis a day. Like he has two pro tennis players on the island, and he plays tennis 3 times a day. Yeah. He plays chess 3 or 4 times a day. He kite surfs. He hikes. He rides mountain bikes up like steep inclines. The guy is unbelievably fit. Yeah. We climbed up a riverbed that was really hairy, but he's got a guy who is like his spot. Young guy who's very fit, and anything that's a bit hairy, he's got someone there who's kind of like just making sure that he's supported. Yeah. And he gets up it, and like he's basically, he's climbing up a really steep. Yeah. I'm talking about a 3 hour climb up a riverbed. Like it was intense. Like we were all dripping with sweat.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's a conversation that we always have, and for me personally, it's something I've struggled with over the years. We run a children's sports coaching company. We're encouraging children to get fit, active, and healthy. And I look at myself as the founder, and I think, well, I need to be showing that and living that, and it's the constant battle.
Yeah.
And as Billy mentioned, how important do you think it is, for entrepreneurs to be fit, active, and healthy,
It's
to help them on their journey?
It's an interesting one because, look, you're going to be torn in two directions, which is, like when you're a provider for a family, money's incredibly important as well, right?
Of course.
And it's this hard balance because, look, let's be real. To be fit, active, and healthy takes time.
Yeah.
You can't delegate it. You can't outsource it.
Yeah.
You have to put energy and effort into it. And then as you're building business, there's phone calls to have and all that sort of stuff. The thing with Branson is in his 40s, he sold his company for £500 million. And as you do, he was almost bankrupt. He was almost bankrupt. He was on the edge of bankruptcy for 25 years.
Yeah.
And every time he had a spare amount of credit, not even money, credit, he would take out a loan to sign another artist.
Yeah.
And it was all on the verge of crumbling down.
Yeah.
He'd stuck money into an airline, and it was a flock of birds went through it. He was in serious trouble. And out of the blue, going back to luck, Sony, they'd made all this money off Sony Walkman, and they decided that they need to own Sony Music and that they needed to own the Walkman and the music. And they came and bought Virgin Records. And basically, and 500 million back then was probably the equivalent of 5 billion of cash today, 10 times more. So in his 40s, he became like a liquid multi-billionaire, right? Now, he did that because he'd taken loads of risks, and he's a very intense guy. Like, he doesn't stop. By the way, doesn't stop. Gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and goes. And if he's at a dinner, he's on the table dancing. And
And I guess the point is that he got the opportunity to focus on being more active in the position where financially you can do that. We spoke about balance earlier, and I completely agree. I have days where it's like I need to exercise for my mind sometimes, or be active, but then it's I want to be successful, and I want to make sure my daughter's got everything, and my wife doesn't need to work and X, Y, and Z. So it's like, well, what's going to get me there?
That's the
really?
That is the hard
balance,
thing,
isn't it? Yeah.
Well, you mentioned something really important there, which is that when you are active and you do go out for that walk, you do have a lot of your best ideas.
Yeah.
We're in the ideas business.
Yeah.
And it's often the case that if you wanted to keep someone broke and you wanted to keep them from being successful, you'd keep them distracted.
Yeah.
Right? You'd basically say, never have a spare minute to think. Right? Let's keep you entertained. Let's keep you doing stuff so you can't stop and think.
Yeah.
Now, if we know that, then it's on us to make sure that does happen to us.
Yeah.
So you've also got to remember that actually it's not necessarily completely a distraction. That walk in the forest, especially where you go, why haven't I called so and so back? Like, a month ago, that guy said, call me back in a month. Yeah. I'd forgotten about it, and it's like that comes to you during the walk in the forest. The real trick is to, and this is really hard, right? When you are exercising, to not be scrolling and not be listening. It's so easy to say, I want to listen to a podcast, I want to do this. Just remember, your brain needs time to do nothing, actually nothing. Yeah. It is always when I go for a walk without a podcast, without anything, without any stimulus, that I get my best ideas.
Yeah. Trying to create boredom. I struggle so hard with it. It's like, put yourself in boredom for 10 minutes and see where the mind takes you, see what kind of ideas you come up with. Because I find that so tough. When I go to the Virgin, I always try and find myself 10 minutes in the sauna to make myself feel great. And everyone's got AirPods on. And I'm like, try and be bored. Try and sit there in that boredom.
If you can be sitting there bored, you are probably in the 1% of the population whose mind has a little moment to think. But if you wanted to control a population and you wanted them to never achieve anything, never rise up,
what would you do?
Yeah. You would just keep them entertained all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Going on, just touching on mentorship a little bit as well, which you mentioned. Do you feel, because obviously we watched you speak at the BFA annual conference, really inspirational in Telford. It was actually the night after that I randomly emailed a load of people, including yourself, whilst I sat in bed 11 o'clock at night scrolling, so we can't blame the screens too much, but that worked at that point. But yeah, with obviously the BFA franchising conference, and we're a franchise model. Do you feel like we kind of had this conversation earlier, and was like, Daniel might say no, which you're fine to, by the way, but is franchising, if you find the right brand and the right people, an opportunity of finding a mentor in a way sometimes that goes, wow, like if I was to buy a McDonald's franchise, surely I'd get some stuff out
There's
of that.
some community to it.
Yeah, like the mentorship there from people that, because we talk about mentorship and people think, oh, we'll go and find a mentor. Well, how can you do that? Is it tough? Can you find the right one? Is franchising the
You
viable
can
way of
find a
doing that?
mentor when you're young, but as soon as you hit about 25, it's very hard to find a mentor.
Yeah.
Because basically the only time you will find a mentor is when you're working on a project with someone who's 10 times bigger than you are.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to be working together. The idea that you can just ask someone, can I meet up with you and you give me free advice?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen once you're 25.
Yeah.
So, but being part of a franchise is a community where you are working together and you're all in the same boat. So one idea that happens down the road gets, you get told about it. So that does help. There's definitely that as a benefit.
Yeah, amazing. What so obviously really successful, and we're talking about like trying to get to the point where we've hit financial freedom, whatever it is that drives you. But what drives you now? Because ultimately, what stopped you? You mentioned like that real short progression as a 17-year-old was like, I'm on $3, £1 delivering a pizza, getting $10 tips when I tell them about the jumping red lights, which is great. Then jump into doing the parties, $5 grand, 10 grand. Now you're on 12 grand a month from a sales commission. Like a lot of people would go, happy days. Like I'm there now. What then makes you go,
well,
okay, I want more at that stage?
And look, it's funny because two things. Number one, I just love being in the game. And I've got a personal mission that I love making the most of the times that we're in. I think entrepreneurship is the game to play at the moment. I think everyone's becoming more aware of how important entrepreneurial thinking is.
Yeah.
And I love developing entrepreneurs who stand out, scale up, make a positive impact in the world. And entrepreneurship makes a positive impact. Look, the thing is that if you ever achieve more money in a month than most people earn in a decade, it doesn't actually change who you are.
Yeah.
Like the thing that got you there is still the thing that makes you go, like you take someone who sells their company, it can be a disaster the following year because it's like, up until selling your business, I've sold a few businesses and it's pretty amazing. Like it's a big payday. Up until selling your business, you're busy and you're doing stuff and all that sort of stuff. If you sell a business and then that's it, you can be miserable very quickly.
Yeah.
And also the amount of money that you need that is freedom money is not actually that high. So if you break it down, if you want total freedom, you basically would have a house and you'd have a couple of million in investments, and that pretty much puts you on 100 grand a year without having to get out of bed. And you've got a roof over your head.
Yeah.
Right. So you're only talking like 2-3 million. So then you very quickly you're going to sit there and go, well, now what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you better come up with a good now what. You better know yourself. Yeah. But look, the types of people who build successful companies, they're wired a certain way. It's not that they like selling, they like marketing, they like solving problems, they like coming up with scale, they like hiring teams. It's like saying, oh, why would a professional athlete, like why would Roger Federer continue playing after winning Wimbledon?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like because he likes tennis.
And it's finding purpose, isn't it? And it's, when you were saying about like, when you sell it and then next day, or what do I do? I was thinking of like professional athletes get to 35 and retire. It's like, wow,
I feel so sorry for them.
What do I do now? Like that is
I feel it's so sad for athletes because it's mentally, you've just matured at 35 to 40, where you're just sitting there going, okay, I think I've figured out how the world works, but then physically you've just hit your peak and you're off. I mean, it's so like Roger Federer would do another 10 years of tennis if he could.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just said he couldn't.
Yeah. No, really interesting. Definitely that purpose, like finding purpose, is for me like so important. We've spoken about so many times about oh, like if there was a day that we ever like sold or exited or whatever that point was, it's like, I know what I'm like. I know I'd just be like,
Go again.
I'd need to do something. I'd need purpose. Like,
Well, the other
purpose
thing
is so
too
important.
is you make so many mistakes the first time round that, let's say it takes you 10 to 15 years the first time round, you'll do it all again in 5,
Yeah.
right?
Well, we experienced that. We had
Yeah.
COVID. Like, we literally went to 0
Yeah.
overnight, and then 5 years later,
It was easy to rebuild.
oh, it was so much. It was like
Yeah.
night and day.
Yeah.
And actually, we look back now, and it's like the best thing that's ever happened.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
absolutely. Firstly, because all the pressure got turned off. Sometimes I feel like really, we talk about this all the time, being guilty when I'm not working or I'm not trying to move forward. But COVID kind of allowed me not to feel like that. It's like, well, no one is.
No one can.
Yeah, so no one can. So it kind of gave me a nice reset. But then secondly to that, it was like everything that we weren't doing right, we got to identify and then come back fresh. It was just like a really...
Yeah.
And absolutely, the acceleration in those 5 years have been chalk and cheese to before.
Yeah. One thing I will say is that we live in a world where if you scroll on social media, nothing tells you to stop scrolling. It just, you can scroll all day and all night. Same in business, that in business, if you just grow, nothing tells you to stop growing.
Yeah.
One thing that is really helpful is to choose what I would call an end state. An end state is a point where you decide in advance, this is the point that I'm trying to arrive at, and I'm going to celebrate that thing. Now, for example, I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs. When I ask them truly, what is it you want, like legitimately, it basically boils down to they want about 1.5 million a year of revenue, 300,000 or 400,000 of profit, and 3 or 4 days a week, as opposed to 5 or 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And actually, at that point, the juice is now worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
But much beyond that point, the juice is not worth the squeeze. And actually, it's super powerful to say this is the end state. If you were a developer, a property developer, you wouldn't start building unless you had a design as to what we're trying to build. Like, this is what it's meant to look like. You know, like if you're building a hotel, it's like, this is what it's going to look like on opening day.
Yeah.
And then we know it's done. Congratulations. We screw the last little light switch in and we're done. Entrepreneurs typically don't do that. And it's really, really good to get super, super clear. When I say super clear, a property developer knows exactly how many doors, how many windows, how high the ceilings are. Most entrepreneurs will say, "Oh, I want to do 7 figures of revenue." Well, 7 figures of revenue is anything from 1 to 10. You know, so like it's like saying, "Oh, I want to build a building." Somewhere between 2 and 20 stories. That's not how
it's quite extreme.
it's not going to work, right? But it's like you really want to get super, super clear. This is the end state. I'm going to have this many people on the team. We're going to do this many revenue. This is the type of revenue we'll do. This is the type of customer that we serve. You know, this is the profitability. These are going to be the overheads. You know, those kind of, you want to kind of mentally have that snapshot as to what does it look like when we're done.
Yeah. How many times have you then reset that you've got there and gone, whoa, actually, like that's something that, or is that something?
I'm pretty good. Like there's been business, like for example, Score App 5 years ago, we said we're going to get to 10,000 customers in the first 5 years. And then we're going to look at exit. And we got 10,000 customers last month, and now we're looking at exit. You know, so you know, we're like designed it from day one to be exactly this kind of software company at this sort of size. And
Brilliant.
Brilliant, amazing. And Daniel, what are your like looking at like 2026? Like you've got a brand new book, I've wrote a book there, which you can definitely kind of link us in there and talk about a little bit. You've got New Tonic there, which is
one of my angel investments. A great business.
And what are the
great product?
Can I give it a try?
Yeah, only if you can open it with one hand. You got to see if you can. Can you do a one-handed open?
There you go, not bad.
Oh, look at that! Nicely done.
Have you been practicing that for your wrist?
Exactly.
Okay. So tell us about
New Tonic is a focus drink. So Red Bull is an energy drink designed to kind of get you wide awake. New Tonic is a focus drink, so it's got ingredients that are designed to really kind of give you that focused clarity. So it's really good for working or like, you know, it's like, you know, caffeine is actually it's a nootropic. It has a psychoactive effect. There are all sorts of other nootropics. Nicotine is a nootropic, actually. It has a mental effect on you. So there's all these ingredients that actually bring out focus.
Yeah.
It
So
tastes really good as well.
it's good taste, yeah.
I'll give it a crack.
From the
Yeah,
same one.
well,
There's a fresh one there.
It's no,
You
we're
can
not
have a
COVID
fresh.
anymore,
You
are
can
we?
have a fresh one if
Do
you
I have a fresh one?
if you only if you can open it one-handed. Let's see if we
One-handed, please, Billy.
can.
I don't know.
Can you do the one-handed
Do
open?
you know what, Daniel?
I'll
Angelo
hold
said,
it
no,
for
you
you.
say this to me all the
We
time.
can do this.
If
Come
you
on.
give me a task that is quite complex at work, I feel like I'm really good. If you ask me to blue
Just
tape
wanna
something on the
drink
wall,
this
I can't do
one.
it.
Just drink
I
this
couldn't-
one.
Let's go.
Come on,
Let's
Come
go.
on,
Can
you can do this.
Can you do the one-handed
Says, oh
open?
no.
Oh, I
There
broke
we-
the
You can
cap.
do this.
No, I've
Oh,
not got
no.
it.
One-handed.
There you
Yes.
go.
Hang on,
almost
no,
like
what's
that.
that?
Close.
Yeah,
Close.
I've cheated there. I've cheated.
It tastes really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's lovely. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah. it's-
I'm somebody who drinks a lot of caffeine. I don't know about do you?
Try not to.
Yeah.
Like to have a coffee in the morning, but that's about it. And I'll have one of these. Actually, like for me, I can massively increase my productivity if I have the right music and
Yeah.
and one of these.
What kind of music?
It's got to be duff. It's a house, like instrumental house music.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, melodic house,
Yeah.
instrumental house.
I'm really like the world's most emotional person. Like if we spent 2 minutes without my daughter, I'd cry. Yeah, and I just play the most depressing music all day. Don't I? You get so annoyed. In the office, it's just like, Bill, put your headphones in, mate. It's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
terrible. But it gets me. It works for me.
Yeah,
So.
look, one of the reasons I could write books is because I find a good playlist of
Yeah.
instrumental house music, and I find that I can go from writing for an hour
Yeah.
to writing for 3 hours if I've got the right music on in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does the day to day look like for you?
So I've got an assistant called Susie who you spoke to. I have a briefing meeting at the beginning of the month with Susie, and we talk about what are the big, most important projects that I'm working on, what are my goals for the year, and all of that. And then it's Susie's job to basically try and slot in as much into the month as possible to make sure that I'm on track.
Yeah.
I'm not a good judge. I make more emotional decisions about what I should or shouldn't be doing, and I get off track and all that sort of stuff. So Susie's basically just scheduling my days. And, so like, for example, if I've got a book I've got to write, there's writing time booked in
Yeah,
there.
of course. Yeah.
If there's something happening with the kids at school, it's in the diary. If there's travel I need to do, it's all booked. So basically, Susie I'll say to Susie, look, I want to do kind of one or two podcasts a month. They'll go into the diary.
Yeah.
So like just each thing is essentially scheduled in alignment with the values and the goals that we've put in place.
So in that strategy meeting this month, Susie said, Daniel, one of the massive priorities this month is to join Billy and Angelo from Superstar Sport. And you went, who? Big shout out, Susie. Thank you so much. And I do appreciate it. No, super. So what are the goals for like 26, do you feel like? Have you got...
Yeah, so there's big company exit. There's a restructure. There's another book I want to write. There's some there's stuff with family and travel and 10-year anniversary, and there's like kind of all these kind of things. So we just kind of mapped out. These are all the big things that we want to do. It's typically in each area of life. There's 3 to 6 big things, and then Susie knows those are the 3 to 6 big things that he's trying to achieve. Rock and roll. Let's get all the stuff scheduled that needs to be scheduled.
Amazing. Congrats on the 10 years as well.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do 2 big things a day.
Yeah.
That's so something in the morning, something in the afternoon. That is like I'm trying to do the highest value things.
Yeah.
And really about 2 things a day is what I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time is like being available for thinking and for making a phone call here and there. But, it's like this is a really high value thing for the morning. This is a really high value thing for the afternoon. And the rest of the time is time to think.
Yeah.
And what would you say are your success principles if you could just think of what?
Look, at the moment, you have to acknowledge that the world is going through massive amounts of change economically, socially, the whole lot. The biggest principle is you have to be in alignment with the way the world's moving. You can't be a farmer who plows the field by hand in an age of tractors and expect to survive.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and say, "Oh, I just want to work for a big corporate who just looks after me," and they'll just take care of my pension and they'll just take care of my career and I'll just turn up to work 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those days are past, right? And it sucks. Like, wouldn't it be nice if things didn't change? But we are living through massive amounts of change.
Yeah.
The biggest principle is you've got to be in alignment with the times that we're in.
Yeah.
I'm seeing too many people who are like, oh, I don't really use AI.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I don't really want to build a personal brand. Okay, fine. Don't compete.
Yeah.
So it sucks, but imagine turning up at Wimbledon with one of those little wooden rackets from 100 years ago. You say, oh, I just don't want to use the latest technology. It's not going to work. Or a golfer that doesn't turn up with graphite shafts or whatever. Like, everything gives you an edge. But I see so many people, do you post every day on LinkedIn? That's lame. Oh, okay, fine, don't. Like, I'll happily do it. And people don't realize that the stuff that's happening in the world of tech at the moment, like, just on YouTube, 500,000 to 1 million views a month on my YouTube channel. That is like, essentially, that is like what we used to pay huge amounts of money for advertising. And that is what we used to, it used to be the case that having a TV show, was impossible. And now people are like, oh, I just don't want to do it. Oh, I don't want to have to buy a camera or have someone who comes around and films or edits. So, okay, fine, I guess.
Yeah. I think it is back to increasing your odds, isn't it, ultimately? Because you're doing them things to ultimately increase your odds. You mentioned like AI and stuff like that. You've got the book there, which I'd love to learn a bit more about what it's about, X, Y, and Z. But just on AI, like, because obviously you're looking at, when you're trying to align yourself with where the world is now, I guess you're looking at like risk, threats potentially for your way of working. We've thought about this quite a lot, because obviously with AI being a risk, we're a children's sports coaching company. We feel that you couldn't, like, our energy and enthusiasm and the way that we deliver to children is so enthusiastic and fun. We're hopeful that AI won't steal that off us, like being there with children and working with children and stuff like that. But obviously the systems and processes around it are so important. Like when I think like of AI and stuff, do you worry about like authors in 20 years, like with books being written and stuff like that? Are there things
Forget 20 years.
Yeah, like 2 years.
2
hours.
years. Look, people aren't understanding with AI. The minute AI learns to play chess, it's the best chess player in the world everywhere in the world at once. So it could go from yesterday not knowing how to play chess to figuring chess out, and then tomorrow it can beat every chess player all at once, everywhere in the world. Done. Right? Now, if replace the word chess with a job, at the end of last year, AI was better than 40% of lawyers at most things. It's now better at 75% of lawyers at most things. Right? So AI figured out how to be a lawyer, and it's now better than 75% of lawyers. Right? Now that just happened. There was no news announcement, but it happened. A year or two from now, AI will be a better general practitioner than every doctor combined. 2 years from now, it'll be unthinkable that you would let go to a human. It would be the weirdest thing. It would be like going to a horse for medical advice. This is insane. In 2 years' time, doctors won't really exist other than to essentially guide you through the process, a bit of human element. Every business has what I would call speed to market and speed to value. Speed to market is your ability to tell your story and get people excited about what you do. The company that wins will be the company that uses AI to tell better stories, to reach more people. And there's a broad definition of AI. The way you upload a video onto YouTube and the way you tag it and the way you label it and the words you use in it, that is all being fed into the AI that tells who should watch that. Right? So that's called speed to market. And then there's the enthusiasm when you're with the kids, right? But then there's all the stuff that goes around, like communicating with the parents, scheduling, all of that sort of stuff. That is all part of speed to value. But look, you'd be very naive to think that there's not some company that could just enter the market with a big name celebrity and a bunch of AI systems and just come in there with 30 million views a month.
Yeah.
Everyone suddenly knows about it. And then they've got a great AI system that does all the bookings, the scheduling, the whole lot, puts people in the right place. And then, there's some enthusiasm that has to happen on the day.
Yeah.
But all this other speed to market, speed to value stuff, that is coming, right?
Are you excited by it? Like,
excited / terrified.
But we're in a phase of like huge opportunity as well, where it's like
we're definitely in the phase of huge opportunity. There's going to be a flood of money, but it's a reallocation of money. What's happening at the moment is that the baby boomers are now aged 62 to 80, which means they are firmly in retirement, and predictably, every generation that ever has retired before starts doing things like selling down houses and having smaller houses, selling down shares and living off the shares, selling down their savings and living off their savings. Literally 50% of the economy is locked up currently in the baby boomers. That is going to move, right? It's going to move through the economy. Huge amounts of money being spent on healthcare and innovation and holidays and all the things that retirees, and just gifting it to the next generation to avoid tax. So that's going to cause a wave of money to move down that. There's also the rest of the economy is wildly inefficient, because when an economy is left to its own devices, systems that are inefficient creep in and never get removed. So you have all sorts of inefficient systems. And mooching lazy people find their way into bureaucracies, and they dig themselves into these roles where they get paid 50 to 100 grand a year to do nothing, right? And they sit there being lazy and sucking money out of the economy without actually doing anything of great value. Think of the whole government, right? So, the moochers, right? So the moochers, they ride on the coattails of the productive. But AI is the best excuse to get rid of the moochers and to get rid of the dead systems. And that is going to free up millions and millions and millions to go into productive parts of the economy. So provided you back yourself to be a productive person and someone who's actually going to kick doors down, happy days. If you're a moocher, be careful, right? Because, AI is going to get rid of you.
For someone who uses, say, AI, ChatGPT, they jump on it, a bit of assistance with emails or something. It makes them a bit more efficient. They're still working their old way, but they're just a bit more efficient, and that's their use of AI. What's like first step to go, well, this is how you could get real value out of it? As a business owner today who's watching, who goes, I'm using it at a real basic level that I understand, but how can they go next step? Is it...
Well, you should probably ask it. You should say, act as a business coach whose job is to help me to 10x my income in the next 5 years. And based on everything you know about me, based on everything I've ever asked you, what am I missing? What should I be doing? How do I become more productive? How do I use AI more effectively? Which tools should I be using? So, for example, ChatGPT has memory. So it knows, if you ask it, you can ask it, what do you know about me?
I have. And he spoke about my daughter or my wife. And I was like, and then the reply said, how do you know that? And then it was like, do you want me to start forgetting? I was like, no, I like it.
Well, that memory is the biggest upgrade that's happening this year. So AI is going to remember everything that you've talked to it about, and it's going to be able to surface that out. So you need to start asking AI, what do I, like, regularly, what do I need to be doing to be more productive? How do I, right? In the next 3 or 4 years, you should pick your freedom number and build a plan to get to your freedom number. Because the freedom number is how many assets do you need to own so that AI can't really put you in the doghouse. I've done this activity with a number of people. It's a couple of million for a lot of people. If you're a little bit more lavish, you need 5 million. If you're a bit more extravagant, you need 10, 20, 30, right? But you're not talking crazy numbers. You're talking about, some millions. And then you need to make a plan. How am I going to put together a plan? And ask AI, how do I get to my freedom number?
And if you're a young person in this big, like, AI revolution, it's become a business owner, own some IP.
Be entrepreneurial. Be entrepreneurial. The way the world is going to work in the future is that in the past you had to just stick around for a long period of time, and that was your strategy. Just stay present, right? To keep showing up every day. In the future, it's find a problem, use AI to build a solution, scale the solution, exit and hand off to somebody else for a life-changing amount of money. And in many cases, that could be less than 2 years.
Yeah.
So you need to stop thinking, oh, but what about my career? And start saying, oh, wait a second, this tool allows me to do my career's worth of wealth
really quickly
in 2-3 years and I'm done. So, stop pretending that we're farmers in the age of industrial. Stop plowing your field by hand when there's tractors. We know there are tractors, right? Like just have that image in your head that there are these people out there with a plow, a hand plow, trying to plow a field, and on the neighboring field there's 2 kids with a tractor that are just doing 3 months worth of work in 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like, stop thinking, oh, how do I plow the field harder? So no, I need to be on the tractor, and I can do this all in an afternoon now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just got to say, you can't. Don't be an idiot about this. Like I don't know how else to say it. This technology has arrived.
Yeah.
It's godlike.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to give you God powers.
Yeah.
You're going to make more money in 2-3 years than most people earn in 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to plow the field in the afternoon, not the season.
Yeah.
So, but stop burying your head in the sand with it. Like this thing's going to, if you play the old game, you are going to get crushed.
Yeah. And
there's going to be 2 societies, right? There's going to be 80% of people who are the ones who need the government to feed them.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be the top performers who can live and work from anywhere and make more money a year than anyone previously could in decades. Now is the moment that you get to decide which you want to be.
Yeah, and it's when you get into like the detail. Like we had a call with Piers Linney with like Implement AI and stuff, and it's some of the stuff's incredible. Like, when you actually get into the detail,
it's mind blowing. And I think for us, we were talking earlier as well about. I think you've kind of touched on it. Is adaptability, and understanding that you have to, like you said, you have to adapt. You have to have an open mind.
Is it fair that you have to adapt? No. Is it fair that 80% of people are going to be disrupted? No. Is it fair that the way the schooling system brought you up is no longer relevant for how the world works? No, none of that's fair.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
World's not fair. Shut the hell up.
Change your odds.
Right? And adapt. That book there, every chapter, at the end of the chapter has a prompt.
Right.
And it says, put this prompt into AI,
Oh, wow, okay.
and that prompt will help you to implement this idea, right? So it's the first book I know of that has prompts built into the book.
Yeah. We talk about that a lot in the office, about like our use of AI is we feel like we get really good use out of it. And then some people that I work with, I'm like, oh, like, you're not prompting it right, and I don't know how to teach you to prompt it correctly.
How many employees do you guys have?
So we've got roughly, as a network, we've got about 210 sports coaches across the UK. As a franchise, so our franchise business, the franchisor, we've got a head office team of 12.
Yeah.
12, so here's a question to ask yourself. Let's say 1,000 people showed up to work tomorrow, and they just said, "Hey, look, we're willing to work for free. You just need to give me a job description."
Yeah.
Right. Imagine 1,000 people, and they're all graduates. They're all like they've just finished 3rd year university, but they're saying, "Hey, happy to work for free. Just tell me what you want." Now the question then becomes, well, what would you do with 1,000 free workers? Because that's the reality. The reality is you do have 1,000 free workers if you put them to work, and if you don't put them to work, then fine, they'll just sit there. But you do have 1,000 free workers,
which is absolutely insane.
When you think of it that way,
Brilliant. So the book's out.
Yeah, the book's out. Yeah,
ready to go, and
it's in the airports in WH Smith's and TJ Jones or whatever the new store is.
Yeah.
And what are you trying to achieve by writing the book? You talk about the key person of influence. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, look, for me, I really want people to have a good time with entrepreneurship. I know that everyone's got to make this shift, and I know that people weren't prepared for it. The opening chapter tells you the origins of the school system and says, this is why you feel hopelessly unprepared for the world that's coming. Yeah. But it says we're going to go on a journey to address that. I really just want to see people... I want people, with societal change as big as this, I want people to see the opportunity for them. I want them to do well. And I also know that if there's 1,000 people out there who have a successful business because I helped them in some way, that'll come back to me in some way. Of course. Yeah. Right? It's never a bad thing to have 1,000 people who said, hey, look, this book really helped me on my journey. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And we're talking about this. We had something in the office yesterday was like, what's the thing that we should do here? And we just both looked at each other and said, the right thing, because it will come back. Like it always comes back, and it's having that for us. That core
and the wrong thing comes back.
Yeah.
You know, I've never met anyone who gets away with it. Never.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone who gets away with it. People who screw people over, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
So I think if you put value out into the world, it's only a matter of time. It'll come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
Daniel, really appreciated everything today. Like, it's been unbelievably like inspirational and like just, I feel like a sponge just trying to take everything in, which is brilliant. And I guess like people often say these things off camera after, but like really thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Like, literally two young people who have achieved, like we feel like we've achieved a fair bit, but like
and you're making a good impact in the world.
And we're trying our best to help children. It's something that we're really super passionate about, and like you've given us your time, which we really do appreciate. So
and thanks, Susie.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Susie. Thank you so much. I don't know what I've done about it. Maybe if Susie could tell me what.
Don't let the secret out.
Yeah.
No,
But
thank you so much.
but really appreciate the time.
What a pleasure. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank